What's up? Welcome to another video. I'm 7Beats and today I'm going to show you how to create a rhythm reggaeton beat in FL Studio. So it's going to be a groovy and chill Latin beat, a little bit more up-tempo with some drowny elements. So let's get started. So first let's start off with a piano. So I'm going to create a piano which sounds really soft. And it doesn't matter which piano you use, I will show you how to make adjustments so it sounds pretty good. So in this case I'm going to use the Piano V3 from Arturia, and let's use the German home clean. So this one sounds like this, an amazing instrument. And right now let's start off building the piano chord progression. So I want to create a kind of up-tempo beat. Reggaeton is mostly between 80 and 100 BPM. But in this case, we're going to create something more up-tempo. So let's say 106 BPM. And then you pick a scale, doesn't matter which one. So in this case, I'm going to pick a random one. Let's say C. And I'm creating this one in minor natural. So let's say C sharp. And for this video, I want to create a more advanced piano chord progression. So let's start off with just the root note, which is C4. Let's say E and A. But then let's inverse this one. Let's adjust this one lower to A3. So right now we've transformed this to a totally different chord progression. So let's just copy it over and I'm going to leave this one on C. So let's move this one up one note within the scale. So from A to B. Perfect together, and let's say we reuse this note again. And let's create something which goes upwards again, still within the scale. And let's make this one last 8 steps. Or 2 bars. And let's add some lower notes, for example A. And now let's add something on top. So I want to add this one right here. That sounds great. So we're now open up the preset and then we're going to adjust the brightness to make it sound softer. Still has a lot of power. So I've randomized the velocity and right now it sounds like this. And I've added this second section for the chord progression. So I've added these extra notes just to make it a little bit more interesting, because otherwise an 8-bar chord progression could sound a little bit repetitive in the end. So let's have a listen to the second part of the chord progression. Still very simple and straightforward. Or maybe not for most people that simple, but make sure just to try around until it sounds good. And also reusing the existing chord progressions is just a way to go when it comes to creating a chord progression like this. Just keep in mind there are no rules, but make sure to stay within the white highlighted notes. So now when it comes to Reggaeton, there is this amazing plugin from Slate Digital, which is called the Anna 2. And this one just contains some ready to go presets. Amazing synthesizer. So just open up the presets. So I found this preset which is called the Dreamy Keys. And we're going to add a melody layer on top of this chord progression. So now you start off with a random note. So let's say I start off with E. And then let's create something which goes downwards. Let's say B and A, for example. So something like this. I do not want to make it that repetitive again. So let's remove this one and just pitch this one up or adjust it 1 octave up. So this is the melody which I've got so far. Still very simple, and it's just my intuition when it comes to adding a melody like. Doesn't have to be that complicated again. I now want to add some vocal samples. So Arcade is a perfect plugin when it comes to adding vocal samples. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description. So I found this one which is called the Talking to Myself. And let's adjust it so we create this beat in C sharp minor. So let's select this one and then just play around with the keys. So until you find something which sounds good. This one at C6 sounds really cool, so let's use it. Oh. That goes perfect together, especially when we add some reverb later on. But in this case, we're gonna add it directly. So I'm linking it to the mixer. And let's say we add just some simple reverb from the Valhalla Vintage Verb. Let's not make any adjustments yet, but let's say 50%. I think this layer would also sound very cool if we just clone it. So we create a second one. And then we pitch it up 12 semitones or 1 octave. So let's edit it. And let's say plus 12, like this. Copy the exact same thing over. And let's have a listen. Maybe just already too high. So maybe let's say minus 12. That's it. And this already sounds amazing, very ambient, very spacious, exactly what I'm looking for. So these elements could be perfect for creating an intro or, for example, a bridge part. But for the main part of the beat, we need an element which just contains some more energy. And I'm just looking for some keys. So I found this in the keyboard, which sounds really awesome. So for sure we can create something using this one and later on add some more effects. So I'm gonna just copy the chord progression from the piano into this one. Right now I'm just gonna mess around with this melody. So I feel like the process creating this chord progression or a melody, it wasn't that interesting for you guys because it took me a while, but I think it sounds really awesome. So let's have a listen. Already sounds, or still sounds way too dry. Especially the second part, I really like this. So also let's add a simple reverb from the start, because I think this one really needs it. So we're not gonna add a reverb which is too long. Room, a little bit of mix. Also some chorus to make it sound softer would sound really nice on this one. So let's see, we use the Chorus Tune 6, which again is an amazing plugin. And let's say we use the Stereo Thrills preset. Oh, we reduce the phase a little bit. So again, that's it. I'm gonna leave it for this right now. And right now, let's add a bassline because this really needs some low frequencies. So let's say we use the NA2 again. And for this beat, I want to use a full, deep and groovy bass. So let's open up the presets. So I found this hybrid wave preset. So I'm removing that pluckiness from this bass by adjusting the filter envelope. And right now, I'm just gonna draw in the bass line. So let's say we start off at A, then say B, and then let's say C. That sounds perfect, so copy it over. And later I'm gonna remove the ticky and clicking sounds from this bass. So you could simply solve this by just adding it to the mixer and then add an EQ you prefer and then remove all the high frequencies, because using this bass we don't need any frequencies from over 1000 Hertz. So let's say 1000 Hertz. So if your EQ is on logarithmic scale, you could simply see it like this. So where is a lot of space between those lines. So I also really like this element. So I feel like we're done creating all the melody layers, and right now let's move on adding the drums. So I'm gonna disable all of these elements and adjust the indie keys and a bass line. But right now let's add some drums. So this gig is from one of my upcoming sample packs. So I can't show you everything right now, but it sounds really cool. And right now let's add a rim. So I'm gonna use the, let's say the Blackout drum kit. So in this case, I'm not going to use the typical reggaeton drums. So let's say rim. So let's say rim 5. And I'm going to use those two elements to create the main rhythm for the drums. I really like this kick sample. It sounds amazing. So let's copy it over. And I'm going to just add that typical reggaeton rhythm, but we're not using the elements which you would normally use. So let's use this rim. So that's it, sounds very simple, but we're gonna add more layers to make it sound full and organic. So I'm gonna use the Mirror Reggaeton sample pack again. So let's use this layer, copy it over. So let's use another snare. So I like this one, make some tweaks to it. So I'm gonna remove the first part like this. So again, that's it. And let's add some percussions which contain a lot of high frequencies. So for example, a head, open up the heads. And let's add a rhythm which is a complement to the existing rhythm loop. So I've added something like this, pitch it down 2 notes. So now it sounds like this. Very simple, but I think it could be a great addition to a drum loop like this. But still, I think the rim is missing some mid frequencies, and this could result in your drum loops just sounding too empty, or it isn't just grooving full enough. So a simple way how to solve this is adding a mid percussion, which for example is a tom. I've also added some samples like this to the percussion folder, or like this one. And let's make it follow this rhythm. Still so simple, but I think it's a great addition to a rim like this. Later on, we're gonna level all the elements because right now they're definitely not leveled that good, but we're gonna fix this later on. And I want something to play on the first kick. So this could also be a cymbal. So again, I think this one should be in the blackout drum kit. Open head. Let's say this one, and I don't want to play the whole sample. So I'm going to create a square so I can take fully control on how long the sample is playing. So I just wanted to play half a step. Something like this. And again, it's still missing some high frequencies in the drums. And I think a perfect layer when it comes to creating those kinds of beats is adding a shaker. And this one is also from my new Reggaeton producer bundle. So let's have a listen. So again, right now it's way too loud, but you get the idea. So right now let's simply arrange it. So we're gonna split by channel again, and then just select all the elements and then drag them into the arrangement. And when it comes to those kinds of beats, there most of the time is a long intro. So right now I think the vocal samples are perfect for creating this intro. Also the pad and the piano, perfect elements. So this one is for the main part of the beat. We have the bass line, we have all the drums, which are also just playing in the main part. So create something like this. And the final element which we're gonna add is a bass line. I'm going to create something from scratch. So I'm going to create it using this amazing plugin, which is called Serum. You could also use other plugins. And let's pick this simple analog sign. I'm going to create this envelope. So let's add a new pattern right here. And just let's draw it in the same pattern as in the keys. And also let's start off at this one. So we're going to add this simple rhythm, which is not exactly following the rim, but it's often used in those kinds of beats. So let's say we copy it over right here, and let's say G, and then just copy it over again. Right now, it contains too much high frequency, so we're gonna pitch it down 1 octave. And right now it sounds like this. Could be so simple. Something like this is often used in beats, for example, like Mora and J Cortez or Jayco. So simple, but it adds a lot of groove to those kinds of beats. So right now I'm gonna add some effects and finish this arrangement. So still it looks very simple and similar. And if you want to download the free drum loop, the link will be in the description. Make sure to check it out. You can just download it for free and follow the steps on my website. So right now let's have a listen to the final result, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Still sounds very spacious, just added a lot of reverb. Bassline coming in. Made it a little bit more softer because it was just too present. Kickstart, some sidechaining to the sub bass. And that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you learned something from this, and make sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you have any questions, also make sure to add them down below. And with all this being said, I hope you have a great day, create some awesome beats, and see you in the next video.